set, but Alberta ain't ready to kneel just yet. They chose their king, their power was met, but we don't answer to Ottawa yet. No crown gave us what we've earned, just dirt and fire and lessons learned. Now the ground it shakes, the steel it groans, and Alberta walks alone. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands, never on its knees. A nation born in the forge of the free. From the rigs to the rails, the crops to the code, we lit their streets, we bore their load. They laughed at pride, they mocked the West, but freedom don't die, it just waits for the test. The cowboys ride, the farmers rise, 5 million strong under open skies. No leash, no lie, no foreign throne. This land is steel and it stands alone. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands, never on its knees. A nation born in the forge of the free. Can't kill the mountain, can't drown the plain, can't burn the spirit that won't be chained. He stares down east with a calloused hand and says, this time we draw the line in the land. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands, never on its knees. A nation born in the forge of the free.
Welcome. It's 7-Eleven Daily Summary with Bruce Scholl. So excited to be here. Thank you so much for joining me. What an amazing time. We are living through some extraordinary days. I'm so grateful that you're here. Make sure to share this information out, get some more eyeballs on it. What an amazing time to be alive and to be in this forming nation of Alberta. Again, thank you very much for joining me. I am so grateful. All right, that song is Sovereign Steel, the Anthem of Alberta from fullmetalpatriot.com. That's Full Metal Patriot. You can find them on YouTube and Spotify, all those opportunities to get the music. Anyway, I want to say thank you to that Full Metal Patriot for allowing me to use that song. It's amazing, great video as well. I highlighted it a couple of times last night. I showed it as well, and so you can get you can go and become a member of his YouTube channel. Great work that he's been doing over there at fullmetalpatriot.com. Thank you very much. All right, I want to get into unscrewing some news with you because that's what we're here for. And I'll give you a little bit of a summary of what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be looking at Bovaer and some farting cows, or the lack of farting cows. Also, the sad state of the Canadian military, in case you haven't been paying attention to it, and the mandatory minimum for the pedos. Supreme Court of Canada overturned the 1 year, so we're going to talk about that a bit, and then I've got a very special guest. His name is Thomas Speciale, joining me tomorrow night. I'm very excited to have him. Reached out to him, and he's kicking some John Brennan arse. So I'm hoping to have him on tomorrow night. We can talk about that specifically and get into it. But I'll show you the video and what he's been up to, calling this criminal gangster out. I'm excited to talk to him. Any patriots like that love to have them on. And anyway, so the theme of tonight is why we need to separate, or more reasons for Alberta independence, being Bovaer, not necessarily, I guess, but cattle, and then the Canadian military, and the 1 year mandatory minimum sentence for pedos. But we're going to get into it as we usually do. I am so grateful to be here, so grateful for the journey that I have gone through, and Unscrew the News has gone through. I started this journey to document the stories that we were living through, or the stories that we had challenged or been challenged after watching the National Citizens Inquiry. So I want to thank you. I want to thank God for this opportunity, and my family and friends, as well as one of my favorite sponsors to support and to also benefit from, for myself and for my family. And I'm not your investment advisor, but I do suggest holding gold and silver, especially at this time. We are on the precipice, I believe. And I'm not trying to be the fear monger, but I really do believe that this is something that you need to hold in your hand. Do not buy the paper assets of EFTs, but certainly get your gold and silver for your family and to preserve your wealth. That is the name of the game. So give Nugget Stacker a hit up. You know what? I'm just going to bring this onto the stage here and show you. Go right through my website, unscrewthenews.com. Scroll down to the Nugget Stacker logo right here. Click on that one. It'll take you to their website, and you can go through some of their stuff. One of the great things I love to suggest is the subscription, monthly subscription, $50, $100, $150, $200, whatever the case is, whatever you could afford. And that'll come right to your door once you fill in, you finish. Let's say that you wanted to buy, an ounce of gold, then it would obviously be about $5,600. If you wanted to buy, 10 ounces of silver, that's, I think it's $760 right now. Anyway, price of silver is a little bit low. I don't think we're going to see it this low like it is today, ever. So this is a great time to get in, but just get some gold and silver, and I think that you'll be very happy about that. All right, we're going to get into some unscrewing the news, but before that, I am coming to you from the heart of the battle-ready nation of Alberta. And we bring you truth and optimism. Our goal is to break free from the media, globalist mind control. It is November 2nd. Can you believe how fast we've gone through this year? November 2nd, 2025. This is episode 213. More reasons for Alberta independence. Let's get into it, shall we? All right, I'm going to move on to the Bovaer story. This is coming out of Denmark. And I saw a couple of posts about it recently, and I thought I'd highlight it. This one looks like this is from Peter, Sweden. And this is a Danish farmer is now warning that his cows are very sick after being fed Bovaer. One of his cows even died. Denmark has mandated methane-reducing feed additives. Please share. The world must know the truth. And obviously, when we think about it, and we're going to get in. I'll show you a couple of the other articles, but one of them is a
Vi er i dag på besøg her hos
is a producer in UK. I think it's called Arla. But again, I'm going to show you that here coming up. Anyway, so can you imagine if you're poisoning the cows, what the milk is going to be like, or the meat, or so. Let's just take a listen. I'll read to you what he's saying because obviously he's speaking in Danish. So we are today visiting Hubert van Dorp
Hubert van Dorp ude i det vestjyske.
here in the West Jutland.
Og Hubert, du begyndte at fodre
Hubert
med
started
Bovaer
feeding
her
his
for
around the 1st of
omkring den
October,
1.
right?
oktober, ikke?
Last
Og
year. And you would like
det vil
to
du gerne
tell us
fortælle
a
en
little
lille
bit
smule om.
about that?
Jamen, det er rigtigt. Vi,
Well, that's right.
vi
We started
starter
feeding
om
with Bovaer,
foder Bovaer, som
which is kind of required by law.
ligesom lovpligtigt fra start af
From the beginning of
oktober og kan nå
October,
de
and
80
we
dage
must
i år.
do it 80 days this
Jeg
year.
har fodret med,
Been
som
feeding
I sagde,
from the beginning of
fra
October,
starten af oktober, og på
and
dags
from
dato,
today,
så er jeg
I've stopped
bare
feeding
trukket
with
mig
Bovaer.
tilbage og holdt med at fodre. Jeg kan sige,
I can tell you that we had some animals who
dyr,
got
de
sick.
blev syge. Jeg står for eksempel
For
lige her,
example, there's a cow
koden,
right here.
hun
The
var
female was
midt i laktation,
mid-lactation,
som
and we
står
had
med
more than
mere
40
som 40
degrees of
grader i
fever,
feber, 41,5 grader
41
feber
and a
sidste
half
uge.
degrees fever
Jeg havde
last, and I
tre af
had
de
3 of
tilfælde,
these cases.
så vi var hurtige med at
So we were
reagere
quick to react
og
and treat with
behandle med
penicillin,
noget penicillin, så vi
so we could
kunne undgå,
avoid
hun
her
blev
getting more sick
mere
from
syg
that.
af det. Så har vi
And
haft
we've
2
had 2
tilfælde,
cases since we
siden vi
started,
startede, som det fik
where they
rigtig
got
stor
really bad
meget
stomach cramps.
mavekrampe. Vi blev
They
simpelthen
were
bare
simply just
pustet op
inflated in the rumen.
i vommen. Vi har haft
We
dyr
had
ude
a vet
søndag
on
aften
Sunday
og
and treated
behandle
that
den
cow,
ko, men den ko kunne vi desværre ikke
but
redde.
unfortunately couldn't save that
Hun
cow.
døde
She
sidste
died the next
knastdag.
day.
Så kan jeg
So
sige,
I
at
can tell you
vores
that
køer, de yder ikke
they
det,
did
det
not
de skal.
perform
Jeg
as they
synes,
should.
køer, de
I think the
reagerer
cows
også,
also react if I
hvis de
go
går
through
igennem
the herd
flokken, ligesom lidt
a
mere
bit more
sløve i det.
lethargic, like.
Ligesom,
Anyway, there's obviously some other posts here talking about it. We're gonna listen to this guy here. He's actually talking about this video.
In Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, they are forcing our farmers to put chemicals into the food of the cows so they will fart less and burp less. Reduce the CO2. Here we have a Danish farmer that was using this chemical and his cows started getting sick. And one of his cows actually died as well. So imagine what this does to the milk and the steaks, the most nutritious food we have. Listen to this.
jeg har haft 2 tilfælde, siden vi startede, som det fik rigtig stor.
Okay, well, we already heard that.
They're already poisoning us, but this is the last straw. We're talking about the steak. We're talking about the cow. This is the holy grail of nutrition, okay, guys? We cannot let this happen. In Norway, we almost have 40,000 people who signed a petition against Bovaer, but we're still not enough people. We need more Norwegians to wake up, or else I'm just going to start my own farm and raise my own cattle and just become a cowboy, okay?
Well, that's not a bad idea, cowboy. All right, Arla issues a statement over the following backlash over Bovaer trial. This is December last year, 2024. Let's see, this process is developed so that it emits methane in all ruminants. This means there is a strong evolutionary. Oh, okay. What happens in the rest of this complex system is that ruminant digestion, when part of it is suppressed, we don't know. All we know is from, well, okay, I'm going to tell you what happens, and I'm going to get right to the point, because that's what we do, is that we get right to the point. Guess what? They're trying to kill all the cattle, right? Just like they did with the chickens. You remember the chicken farm fires? Many, like it was, what was the name of it? Tyson, I think, was one of the huge chicken farm fires that happened. All right, I talked to you last night about the fear mongering with the masks and the H5N1, the pandemic number 2.0, because that's certainly what seems to be happening here. And again, this doesn't benefit me, but it benefits you. Hold gold and silver. It's going to get a little bit bumpy. Make sure to have some in your possession. All right, so this is more fear mongering talking about, let's see, James Throt, MBBS, MD, PhD, the mass psychosis in which everyone believes COVID disappeared into thin air needs to be studied. Every online IRL space is the same. The pandemic came and went, the pandemic, in the space of 18 months. Well, because there was no pandemic, Mr. James Throt, MBBS. You know what I did is I commented and threw in here Event 201 and some information about Event 201. If you think that there was a fucking pandemic, you moron, there was no freaking pandemic. And we've already decided, we've already gotten through this. We've already come to the decision that it was all a lie. It was all made up to create or to show that they could control you. I know my viewers, they're smart enough, and I always like your comments. So please comment here on Twitter, on now on YouTube, so you can comment on there. But send me an email if you like to. You can comment on BitChute, Rumble, X, whatever it is. All right, love Andrew Bridgen. Let's see what he has to say. Can you remember that what life was like before COVID-19 pandemic? We had suffered a great reset imposed on us by the people who run the world from the shadows. They consider themselves the owners of the world and that we are just their tenants or serfs. They have decided they no longer want us. We have two choices: to submit to their will or to rise up and oppose them. No is a small word, but the huge power of if millions say it together. Andrew Bridgen, you're completely correct. I'm going to get into the military here in a second. Let's go to that. I'm going to change pace just a bit. This is the first one that I want to talk about. Jeff Everly just commenting on some of the stuff that you may have seen about the Canadian military and how sad state that they are and why we cannot feel safe. We should not feel safe and secure in this country of Canada that is trying to destroy us from within. The Carney Liberals are doing everything that they can to dismantle any successes that we've had the last 10 years. We have totally hit into the ditch, but the Carney government are taking it to the next level. And they're going to throw us over the cliff here very shortly if we're not already there. All right, Jeff Everly, who I've had on here, and he was one of those brave patriots to take the first ticket in Nova Scotia when they shut down nature. I would like to thank, this is the commander for the armed forces, for her very sincere, heartfelt apology. I went into the Canadian Armed Forces, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. 20 years later, I came out a straight white cis hetero patriarch. The nonstop gaslighting, the unrelenting social abuse had gotten so bad near the end of my career that I talked my own son out of joining the Canadian Armed Forces, as he had dreamed of doing from the time that he was 3 when I first joined. I would not see him slowly destroyed by the same lifelong mental arswipe of a service to Canada that I had seen destroy all of the greatest Canadians of my generation. Thanks, Joker Jenny. This is one time when I think I can safely say that I speak for all veterans. When I say that we knew that we could count of CAF leadership to always put their precious public image ahead of the well-being of their troops' military professionalism or common decency, as has been the case since the Somalia affair. From the military to the police, from public health to the press, it was not the rank and file who drove the institutions into the state of total collapse. It is our corrupt, self-serving leadership. All right, just list. I don't know if I can stomach this.
Systemic racism, racial discrimination, and harassment are an affront to these values, and yet we allowed these injustices to occur and fester within our ranks. Therefore, on behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces, I offer my most sincere and deepest apologies. I apologize to every CAF member, veteran who experienced racism discrimination, and harassment. And I acknowledge we failed you.
Oh my God. Do you guys feel safe and secure? Do you feel like that person is going to protect you and your family from a world, from the terrorists, from... All right, well, that's where it all came from. A number of these, just going to go through and see if I can find... Most Canadians, I'm going to read this from Michael Tomlinson. There's no truth in Canadian politics or government communications. Well, they're completely made it so that they can lie to us and gaslight us and use propaganda against us, as we know that they wrote that into the law. Most Canadians have no idea how dire or fiscal or economic situation is, how utterly unprepared our military is for even the smallest conflict, how corrupt our government spending is, or how completely dependent we are on the U.S. for almost every facet of what we perceive as our national sovereignty. Here's a wake-up call for you. Canadians have been lied to for years and years, abetted by a shallow partisan media which regurgitates talking points to support narratives rather than pursuing truth to inform. The Canadian populace has been infantized. I don't know if that's the right word. Made dependent and ignorant, distracted by bread and circuses, of course. And the bill is coming due. Michael Tomlinson, thank you very much for that post. Utterly cringe. Moronic video of the Canadian government about packing their military full of women.
Let me begin with a simple truth. Women, peace, and security is not about ideology. It's about strategic advantage. Nations that fail women fail. Period. In today's complex threat environment marked by hybrid warfare, disinformation, and mass displacement, we cannot afford to ignore the human terrain. WPS is not soft power, it's strategic defense. Embedding it across the mission cycle, from threat assessments to civilian-military coordination, gives commanders foresight. Our adversaries do not prioritize civilian protection, anticipate social fracture, or institutional collapse. We do, and that is our strategic advantage. As we mark the 25th anniversary of UN Security Council Resolution 1325, let this not be merely symbolic, but a call to action. The world is watching, threats are adapting, and the cost of inaction is steep.
Aaron Gunn, Canada's military is in crisis. Equipment is falling apart. Morale is at an all-time low, and attempts to wokeify military culture have left many frustrated and headed for the doors. Watch Forsaken Warriors, how Trudeau broke Canada's military, streaming this Sunday. Interesting. Thank you. Aaron Gunn. All right, so I'm just looking for... Oh, that's a joke. I'm told, this is John A. Conrad V, I think. I'm told by a source that Mark Carney is livid that these Canadian military DEI posts keep going viral. So livid, he's rolled out the biggest gun to fire a warning shot letter across our bow. Okay. I like that guy. That's good. All right, Canadian military, obviously not very solid. It doesn't feel very secure. I'm going to move on to the next story here. We're talking about the the mandatory minimum for heinous crimes. So this is Brian Lilly. And this happened a couple of days ago, if you haven't seen it yet. But this is just another reason why we need to leave this festering pus pool of garbage, demonic communist here in Canada. This is the communist wake-up call, folks. We need to leave. We need to build some walls here in Alberta so we can survive and thrive for our children and many generations to come. Brian Lilly says today's 5-4 decision, can you believe it? 5 people on this Supreme Court in Canada decided that pedophiles owning child pornography was not a reason to have at least 1 year sentence. Today's decision striking down a mandatory minimum for heinous crimes is a disgrace. Here's why the 5 judges who backed this should be ashamed. Let me just see if I can pull it up here. Let's see. Do we have the Alberta? 2 Alberta judges voted for this judgment. Oh my God. Did you name the judges Sunlight is the best medicine so far? Read the column. Well, let's just see if we can find the column. Why are we not seeing the column here, Brian? Where's the column? Not seeing it here, buddy. AB Techie says, we're headed towards a complete breakdown of Canadian society. Doctors across Canada are finally speaking out. No surprise, immigration has destroyed Canada's healthcare system. Yep. I'm still looking for your article here, Brian. I have not found it. Interesting. Is this it right here? Oh, this is it. Okay, October 31st, 2025, Supreme Court of Canada ruled that the mandatory 1 year sentence for possessing or accessing child pornography violates Section 12 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Wow, they didn't care about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms when they forced everybody to take some toxic experimental injection in 2021, did they? October, November 2021. You guys remember about 4 years ago how they shoved it down your throat? They said that you couldn't have a job, you couldn't fly on a plane, how about you couldn't ride a train, how about you couldn't go to work if you didn't take the toxic injection, deeming it cruel and unusual punishment in certain cases. The ruling originated from 2 Quebec cases where offenders possessed hundreds of images and videos of child sexual abuse, including violent assault on young girls, yet received sentences longer than the minimum. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and Alberta Premier Daniel Smith condemned the decision and committed to invoking the notwithstanding clause to restore the mandatory penalties. Well, that's what that mandatory, the notwithstanding clause is to be used for. That's fantastic. All right, well, there's that part. Now, I wanted to go to, we've talked about Bovaer, we've talked about Canadian military, we've talked about mandatory minimums, and then we're going to talk about, let me see here if I can find it for you. This is the video. I'm going to go to this one right here. So tomorrow night, oops, hang on 1 second. Tomorrow night, I have invited Thomas A. Speciale II to join me. I'm looking forward to having him. Last night at a conference with former CIA Director Brennan, I confronted him regarding the fake dossier and the Russian collusion hoax. Listen to his response. Okay, so this is a few minutes long. Let's listen to this. I haven't listened to the whole thing, so let's just listen in.
Anyway, why don't we go ahead and start taking audience questions? Sound good? Why don't we start over here? It should be on.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Tom Speciale. I've been a career intelligence officer for over 20 years, in the military for over 34 years. I recently left the DNI as a senior advisor for Tulsi Gabbard on counterintelligence and security. And in fact, I made many of the suggestions on dismantling some of the things that are being dismantled, and also made some suggestions on improvements, which I'd love to talk to you guys afterwards and get your feedback.
Does Brennan look nervous?
Going to be going to some important desks very shortly. I want to agree completely, Director, with your assessment on Iran being on their heels. We've got to keep them on their heels until they reform. We've got to do that. I disagree on the deep state, only because Trump says it's the deep state, but as we all know, it's really just the entrenched bureaucrats that run the country. I'll get to my question, I will. But I want to establish sort of my bona fides on this question before I ask it, because I really hesitated to put you guys on the spot on this in public, but if you're not going to be at the after hours, I got to take my chance now. I was at the DNI when the first ICA was released regarding cyber influence on the 2016 election. I was there, I was working in the NIM, I read it. I also was involved in setting up the Principals Committee meeting that took place in December that resulted in President Obama directing a more fulsome, because I understand the difference between a cyber ICA and a total whole-of-government ICA intelligence collection on Russian involvement or influence in the election. And I noticed immediately in the ICA, the second ICA, because I had access to the classified ICA, that there were statements in that ICA that were not supported with the sourcing that was associated to the ICA, specifically that that Putin had directed the action and that Putin had, that the Russians were actively trying to support President
Everybody
Trump
looks a little bit anxious.
My question. There was an email that went around from General Clapper to yourself and Hayden. I'm sorry, not Hayden. That's right. Yourself and Comey, et cetera, that basically said we all got to get on board with this, otherwise it isn't going to work, basically. And I think that email puts everybody in the crosshairs.
Okay, so that's just a setup. And then after the conference on Thursday, I confronted him. So I can't believe that his finger went into your chest there, Thomas. Let's just take a look at this.
Why wouldn't you remember on the Hunter Biden? Why city? Because I think, and you misrepresented that. We never said it was disinformation. We said it was Russian influence operations, which is what they do. There's a big difference between influence operations. No, you don't know that. Yes, Comey knew. Comey knew.
The literature said it had all the hallmarks I believe.
That's fantastic. I love it. I want to see him squirm. There are a number of factors that make up us suspicious of Russian involvement, such as such an operation would be consistent with Russian objectives as outlined publicly and recently by intelligence community to create political chaos in the United States and to deepen political divisions here, but also to undermine the candidacy of former Vice President Biden and thereby help the presidency of President Trump. For the Russians at this point, with Trump down in the polls, there is incentive for Moscow to pull out all the stops to do anything possible to help Trump win and or to weaken Biden should he win. A laptop op fits the bill as that the publication of the emails are clearly designed to discredit Biden. Oh yeah. Interesting. Wow. Well, let's just talk about our bookmarks here. I'm just going to go through and see some of the other stuff. So I'm looking forward to having him on. Maybe it's tomorrow night and maybe it's not. This is also very interesting. This just dropped today, about 9 hours ago. I just saw it tonight. In a jaw-dropping announcement, President Trump discloses that George Soros and Reid Hoffman are funding Antifa and the left-wing violence against ICE. Trump vows to launch RICO investigation into George Soros. Trump stated they're going to have some problems.
Put storefronts because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators. That's right. These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble. Because Pam will say, "Why are you associating with this person?" But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are wild. These are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into check, but we have to. We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years. You think maybe at some point they made their point, and what are they doing? But we're going to get out there, and we're going to do a pretty big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists, yeah. Go ahead, why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories. Could you name it?
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead, let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros. What names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know. Maybe Could be him, could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists.
That is quite exciting. We need to hold these people accountable. I'm tired of this. Are you guys tired of the bullshit in our cities? I certainly am. Here's another one on the Canadian military. John A. Conrad V. You have one operational submarine. It's diesel. It's almost 40 years old. You bought it secondhand. The only reason it works is it ran aground and took 14 years to rebuild. You have 243,042 kilometers of coastline and one functioning sub. You couldn't deter a lost flamingo with dysentery. Wow, that is quite the statement. And I do not think that he's wrong in that statement either. All right, here's another thing that's come up and that we're going to have to face. And I'll just give you some of the background, which you're probably already aware of. You're probably aware that we have a teacher strike here in Alberta. It seems like, though, to me, the teacher strike is more of a coordinated effort from the NDP and the Nenshis to try and take out the UCP, because he has this formula. He believes that he is, he's the, what did they call him? The world's mayor, the world's best mayor or something like that after 2013. Obviously went through a crisis and looking like you solved it, or looking like you were a real hero, made him very, I don't know, he gave him some power, and that guy loves to have some power, apparently. So anyway, I believe the teacher strike has not been solved because the NDP, together with the unions, they're conspiring, these groups, to hold teachers, parents, and children. They're basically holding them hostage. And then they make the UCP, the Alberta UCP party, look bad because they forced them back to work. They did offer them, I think it was something like a 12% raise over 3 years, which should have made our teachers the highest paid teachers in Western Canada, and some other little trinkets that they probably would have liked. I don't know why they didn't vote for it, but to me, it sounded like a fairly good offer. And again, if you want to prove me wrong, reach out. I'd love to hear it. Anyway, so now all of a sudden, we see that they're trying to recall our UCP. Any of the ones that voted, what were they? The notwithstanding clause. Now, using the notwithstanding clause to override rights and force teachers back to work is a profound step. Constituents can respond through civic processes, including recall where applicable. This project coordinates resources to help each riding take action lawfully and effectively. So anyway, it looks like they're going after our UCP party, which, this is a democratic system, and that is okay. Go ahead and do it. Just like Thomas Lukasik wanted to, stop the referendum, stop our independence movement by holding his own referendum, but it boomeranged back at him, and he's now triggered. I believe he's triggered a referendum so we can choose whether we want to separate from Canada. Anyway, so check this out, though. Taking Alberta forward, we stand with, I'm guessing. You can reply. So earlier, there was no option for replying to this post. So they've now put the replies back on. That's funny. Who can reply? Oh, I can't reply. That's hilarious. Of course you can't. Check it out. So they want feedback, they want comments, they want people to be engaged, but you can't actually comment. A bunch of trolls. All right. You guys, I think that we're at the end of tonight, and we covered some great things. Looking forward to my guest tomorrow night. I've got JJ Carroll on during the day, so we'll have a recording of that. And in the evening, we've got this great patriot, Thomas Speciale. We're going to hear a lot about what he's been up to, and maybe what the ways that they're working on their patriotic revival, I guess, for the United States. So I am grateful for you being here. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you very much for participating in our nation building of Alberta. Remember, you have to be activated. You have to get out there. We have to do it from the ground, and we have to be, spending the time. Oh, also, if you're from Alberta and you're still working towards making Alberta great in the nation, make sure that you get to the AGM coming up November 28th and 29th, I believe it is. And in Edmonton, get your tickets. Make sure that you're there, because we are going to vote in to direct our UCP, a board that are, independent, sovereign-minded. So we can have our premier work towards a sovereign Alberta. Anyway, that's just one way of doing it. But in the meantime, you've got to be talking about it. You got to be working on it. Make it a mission. Make it a goal to make our province and our new nation of Alberta the greatest place to be. Opportunities, prosperity, success for many generations to come. I appreciate you being here. God bless you all. Let's stay sane together. Keep your head on a swivel. This is Bruce, and I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching Unscrew the News. I appreciate your participation in freedom in Canada. Share this information and help others to wake up. God bless. Thank you so much for watching Unscrew the News. I appreciate your participation in freedom in Canada. Share this information and help others to wake up. God bless.